Are you looking for the best 240Hz monitors? In this video, we will look at some of the 5 best 240Hz monitors on the market. Before we get started with our video, we have included links in the description, so make sure you check those out to see which one is in your budget range. Number 1. Asus ROG Strix OLED XG272431. If you find the MSI MPG321UR QLED out of your price range, or don't have a setup to take advantage of its high resolution, check out the Asus ROG Strix OLED XG272431 with a lower resolution. It's the best 1440p 240Hz monitor you can get, and while that means images aren't as detailed, it's easier for your graphics card to maintain a high frame rate. It uses an OLED panel with deep and inky blacks, but unlike the MSI, it isn't a QD-OLED, so colors aren't as vivid. However, it still delivers a satisfying HDR experience with bright highlights. Luckily, it gets brighter than most OLEDs thanks to its MLA Plus technology, so it fights glare well. It's also a fantastic gaming monitor with a near-instantaneous response time, resulting in almost no motion blur with fast-moving objects. Unfortunately, it doesn't support HDMI 2.1 bandwidth, so you can only reach the 240Hz refresh rate with a DisplayPort connection. However, if you want a monitor with HDMI 2.1 bandwidth, the LG27GS95QE B is a good alternative, but it doesn't get as bright as the Asus. Number 2. Asus ROG Swift PG279QM. If you prefer getting something cheaper and don't mind compromising on picture quality, the Asus ROG Swift PG279QM is a good alternative to the Asus ROG Strix OLED XG272431. While it doesn't have an OLED panel and the same perfect blacks as the XG272431, this is a trade-off of getting something cheaper, and it's still a good gaming monitor. Besides the panel, it's different from the other monitors mentioned because instead of having GSYNC compatibility, it has native GSYNC support. This means you get a few extra features with an NVIDIA graphics card like variable overdrive and NVIDIA reflex latency analyzer that measures the latency of each source in your setup. In terms of gaming, it has a consistently fast response time at any refresh rate, but there's more blur compared to the OLED screen of the XG272431. Like the XG272431, it doesn't support HDMI 2.1 bandwidth, so you'll need to use a DisplayPort connection to take full advantage of the monitor. Number 3. ViewSonic XG2431. If you want the best 240Hz gaming monitor on a budget, check out the ViewSonic XG2431 instead. You lose out on a few features as you move down in price categories. In this case, it has a lower resolution than the LG 27GR83QB, which means it doesn't deliver the same detailed images. However, with its lower resolution, it's easier for your graphics card to maintain a frame rate of 240 frames per second. It also has a smaller 24-inch screen, so gaming doesn't feel as immersive, but it's still fine for gaming on your own. This monitor stands out against other low-cost displays because it has consistently great motion handling at any refresh rate. There's minimal motion blur, and it even has a customizable backlight strobing feature to reduce persistence blur, which not many lower-cost monitors have. However, it doesn't work at the same time as VRR. Number 4. Dell G2524H. If you want a simple and cheap 240Hz gaming monitor that costs less than the ViewSonic XG2431, then check out the Dell G2524H. It's actually similar in specs to the ViewSonic, as it's also a 1080p gaming monitor with a native 240Hz refresh rate, and unlike the monitors mentioned above, you can overclock it to 280Hz with a DisplayPort connection for a slightly smoother feel. However, it takes a step back in terms of features from the ViewSonic because it doesn't support HDR at all and even lacks an audio jack, which is disappointing if you want to connect a wired audio device directly to your monitor. It doesn't have a backlight strobing feature like the ViewSonic either, and while it also has a fast response time, motion just doesn't look as sharp as on the ViewSonic. On the plus side, it supports all common VRR formats, including HDMI4 and VRR, which not all low-cost monitors support. Number 5. Asus ROG Swift PG32 UCDP. There were a lot of monitors to choose from when considering the best 240 Hz. But this was the monitor I kept coming back to. If you can afford it high price, you're in for one of the best PC gaming experiences a monitor can deliver today. This monitor has it all. It features a bright OLED panel with a native 4K resolution that is crisp and vibrant as you could ask for. It gets incredibly bright, but also has deep black-as pitch contrast, lending it class-leading performance for HDR content. It's packed to the gills with gaming features and picture options, and everything is accessible, plus a few extra options, within Asus Display Widget Center software. It even has a built-in KVM, so it can be used with two different devices simultaneously, if you use picture-in-picture, and swap between them on the fly, bringing your peripherals with you. As I noted in my review, this monitor is incredibly versatile. Since it's on this list, you already know it can run 240 Hz with full support for NVIDIA G-Sync and AMD FreeSync. But if you demand even more speed, you can turn the dial to 11 with frame rate boost mode, which pushes it to an even higher 480 Hz at 1080p. The picture does become a bit softer, but I was able to notice the difference right away. Motion blur has never been less of an issue than it is with this monitor. And since it also has a fast 0.03 milliseconds response time as it is, thank you OLED, it's able to become one of the best OLED monitors for esports on the market.